Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to FMA Discussion. This is episode 354. Today we're going to have Guro Raffy on. They're just finished up a seminar, and they should be jumping on shortly. But in the meantime, before they come on, Christmas raffle. So next, actually a week from tomorrow, we're going to be kicking it off, believe at 6 p.m. So if you have not already purchased a ticket, only $10, and some of the prizes are pretty incredible. Ray Floro donated some of his downloads rather, sorry. And then Guru Mark Denny, the whole DVD set of Dog Brothers. There's some, I think Brian Rodriguez donated a weapon stand, couple of books, I believe, and there's some other things that were donated. But again, $10 a ticket, and it's all going to charity, and it'll be going to children. So for $10, not only could you win something, but you're gonna be helping out children out. So if you can, and that's pinned in FMA Discussion. So check that out. Also, don't forget those quick bits. Anybody can do them. 2 to 8 minutes long, single theme, tactic, technique, anything. You just submit it to me, Google Drive and PM Facebook Messenger with a pic for the thumbnail gallery, and I put it up there and folks can see what you do. All right, I think they're here, so we're going to get started. All right, guys, here we go. All right, we're going to kick it off officially. Episode 354, again, with Guro Raffy. And a big thank you to Guru Mike for coordinating this. So I really appreciate that for him helping out with this. He basically set up all the communication. So a big thanks to him. And without further ado, we're going to be bringing them up. If you're watching, tell us where you're watching from. Smash that like button. They're going to be doing demos. And I'm pretty excited about this. I don't know much about the system. I've heard nothing but wonderful things about Guro Raffy. So let's kick it off. 2, 1. Hey there.
Hi, how you doing?
Good. So how was your guys' seminar?
Went well, sir. Went well.
Oh, fantastic.
Just finished.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
And so you had a good turnout, everything?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I have 2 of my gurus with me.
Guru Sean Burley, Sarasota, Florida.
Or Chris Guadalupe from Orlando, Florida.
Yes.
Awesome. If is there I'm gonna say there is Guru Mike there? Is he manning the camera?
Yes.
Well, this is fantastic. I'm really looking forward to this. Again, as I mentioned in the intro, I don't know much about this system. So I love episodes like this where I actually can learn stuff about it and get more familiar and all that. So this is going to be great. So it sounds like I did some background check and all that, it sounds like you initially learned it from your father before you moved to Orlando. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yeah. I learned it to my father when I was 15, 16 years old. And of course, when growing up in the Philippines, I take some martial arts like karate, and little boxing, and stuff, But I never learned my family art, when I was getting ager, 15, 16, And I always heard to my father when I was a little boy, when he's going home from Manila, to the town, when he's playing his guitar, he talk about the story of our ancestor that they fought the Spanish, and they used the arnis, for fight. So I asked, I get curiosity, as a young boy, what's the arnis, and tell him it's the art, the family art that white in the Philippines, and that's my ancestor used it for insurrection to the Spanish regime. So I get interested in that. But I never learned art, don't formally teach me when I was 15 and 16.
So did he wait that long intentionally, or was it more also that maybe you didn't develop the interest till then?
No, I always interest on that since I was a little kid. It takes those because even though I'm his son, he want to see if I have the right attitude and the commitment, and I have the right things. I teach you this, and then you hurt somebody. Now I'm in fault. You hurt somebody. If I don't teach you, you don't hurt somebody. So it's more responsibility that I look at me. If I have the right attitude to be teach this art that family had. So, but that's why it takes those long. He see me that I could be, teach, and I can handle myself, in the right way. So that's the biggest point, that my father point of view on me.
No, it completely makes sense because you got weapons involved, and you start teaching a little kid, then he goes to school and takes the number 2 pencil, and and starts. Yeah, so yeah, it sounds like he made a good decision there as far as seeing how you were, as far as maturity and what have you. So good on him. So when he started teaching you at 15, 16 years old, was it like a system, or was it? Was it more random, or?
Well, it teach me is it teach me, first of all, it show it to me, he asked me, what do you want to learn? I tell him, why do you want to learn? I want to learn because, I want to use a self-defense, and also I want to learn our family art, and that a question. So my father teach me, striking pattern, just only 1 and 2. They had they said number 1 is the right side, here, and the number 2 is in the left side. So he just teach me that stroke because my father, he don't stay with us in the province. He work in Manila. He's just only going home once a month, and bring the earning, to support the family, and then he stayed there for 1 day, 2 day, the most, and then he go back again to Manila and stay there, and just do that. Sometimes 2 months of the time before we go home. So when he teach me, just teach me those strokes. Okay, you do 1, 2, and practice that. So I practice that for the whole month. 1 and 2, it's just staying there, no footwork, just strike in there. And then he come, and then he show it to me. I said, what you learn now? I want to see what you learn. So 1 and 2. No. Number 1 is here. Number 2 is here. So of course, you don't question your father. I mean,
Yeah.
if question the authority of your father, you're gonna get spanked. And we are very afraid and honor our father. So my father. So I said to myself, I said, well, number one is here, number two is here. But now he said, number one here is number two here. So he tell me do that, number one here, number two. So another month I do it like that, number one, number two, and then another month come and then show me what you learn. I get number one, number two. As I said, no, number one here and number two. I get really confused. So by respected questions, Tay, not disrespectful, So you tell me the first place, number one is in the right, number two is in the left. Now the past month, I do it, and then you said number one is the left, number two is the right. What is the right? He said to me, no, that is only a strike. It is matter is what is number one, is number two. It's not matter, right? So now they testing me. What is my patient is?
Yeah.
Right. So if if I teach you this and then I show you, to do this and do that, and then you start complaining, well, you're gonna complain more down the road. You see?
Good point.
So, yeah. So that's another testing. You see?
Wow.
Again, by teaching this, is my father's very disciplinary. They always discipline us. And he don't want us to be in trouble and things, because this art that is very, deadly, and he don't want me to be, in the wrong place, if I don't teach my son with this, and then he injure somebody or he injure himself and things like that, it's nothing, right? So, but anyway, I pass on that. So now he teach me. He said to me, it doesn't matter which one is number one, is number two. It's just only strike, and I only test your patient, and understand, what else I can show you, So, and then he teach me, the self-defense, So okay, so strike me, and my father said to me, okay, strike, and then I tell him, which one, number one, number two. I said, doesn't matter which one. So I strike him, and then he do something, he sungkit it, he hit me in the hands. My stick is down, and then I get hit many times in the head, and that's it. I get stuff like that. I said, what? I said, that's this. I said, well, that's the art, So let's get more fascinated, So anyway, he teach me that, one by one, So I strike him. He did some kid, in slow motion, one like this, second, and this and that. So I practiced those for a months and months, And then the footwork, is all not in the front of it. It's always in the side, not in the, if they strike it, you never. I step in the other side with the the free hands. They always step side in the outside in here. So I trained that. So, and then there's a little bit more training, but anyway, the short story, I get it. And my father is satisfied on that one technique that he showed to me, and he's happy, and that's it. I said, well, that's good. So I tell to my father, salamat po, Tay. Thank you. So what else? I want to learn more. Well, it's not self-defense anymore. I said, why Tay? Do you know more? I say, yeah, I know more. But if you come to me, you said it's self-defense, that's enough for self-defense. Wherever you strike, the same outcome. I said, so it's puzzled me, so I want to learn more, except of that. Well, it's not self-defense anymore. Now you're collecting the art.
You're collecting, yeah, okay. Yeah. So when you mention family system, how far did it go back beyond your father?
Well, my father, my father is born in 1922, so he met his, of course, his father, grandfather, and, great grandfather, in that era. So they talk about that, some of my grandfather, of course, they speak Spanish and things, from that era. So, telling that story, that's the way he get it. Again, it's really hard to put in the paper how far they are.
Yeah, no, understood.
Yeah. Whatever they said to you, and that's you, you believe it or things, So, but my father is, they have two things, with his mother's side and the father's side, When his father's side, that's an insurrecto, And also, our family name really is not Pambuan. Our family name is Sam Beneventura, and they are seven brothers, that's my father telling me, his great grandfathers, And so when they, Spanish, soldier, they go in the house and they knock the door and they look at it who is against the Spanish, the colonial, and they knock the door. Did anybody, some Beneventura, live in this house? And my great grandfather, said, no, there is no some Beneventura live here. It's Pambuan.
Pambuan instead of Ventura. Okay.
Yeah. So, but anyway, they are some Beneventura, according to my father, So, but the revolution ended and things like that. But the Pambuan last name, they stay in our, in our name. So, but in studying it, it's fascinating me on that. One of the provinces in the Philippines, in the northern part, they call Nueva Ecija. They have a Pambuan town in there, and I would like to, more, research, on that because again, it's from some Beneventura, Pambuan, and then they have a Pambuan town in Nueva Ecija. I mean, that's very, very interesting for me to research, what's on that in our family. Yes.
Wow. Interesting. So I'm okay. That's fascinating. So yeah, you guys are no Venturas here, just Pambuan.
Yeah. But anyway, our arts, they call Tulisan Caballero. Tulisan is a bandage, and Caballero is gentleman.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but is when they said that Tulisan is is a killing blow. When they said Caballero, it's a gentleman art. You just striking the hand and things like that. You're not killing or things like that.
So when so he gave you the self-defense and all that. So I guess when did he start giving you the other aspects of the art?
Well, it gave me, we train more, like months, me and my father, we work together now in the Manila when I get teenager, and after work, we train, we train as much as we can, but again, it's not like you have to learn this and things like that. No, they teach you when they like to teach you. It's like, no, you make a bread. We're not gonna train and things like that. If we have time to train, we can train. It's not really a priority.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but it trained me, some other aspect on it.
Okay.
So, yeah, and then in 1978, I came here in the United States, and I never go back after 20 years, So, but really, I don't, no intention in wildest dream that I gonna teach my family system to the public, and my family art, they never been teach to nobody outside the family. It's only me. Even my brother and my cousin, they don't know. They don't know that they don't want to, I don't know, they don't want to learn. They teach them, they get hurt, and then they stop. I said, that's them, because there is no formal training, I mean, you get hit, where you hit, anywhere to hit, there's no pattern. They teach you this one day, the next day is this, next week is this, is whatever, my father, want to teach, and that's you have. It's not like here, just the one here, just the one. No, they teach you, whatever you want, and you just flow. And that's the way I learned from him.
Right, from which it sounds like, just based on a lot of the interviews I've done and all that back during that time before things were codified, or there was like, a syllabus or a curriculum. It's basically you got what you got when you got it.
Yes.
What I mean?
So that's why, now that I give thanks, and honor with Kuya John Bain, that I met him in the early 90s. And, of course, here in Orlando, we have called East Coast Martial Arts. And I go there, to look for, martial arts magazine and things like that. And he was there, And then he said to me, "Are you Pinoy?" I said, "Yes, sir. Kamusta ka?" So I said, "Why do you know how to speak Tagalog?" I said, "Oh, a little bit." I said, "You know Arnis?" I said, "No, I don't know Arnis." I said, "Oh, okay, yeah." So say, "Why you speak Tagalog?" "Oh, my girl, my fiance is Filipina." So now we have a connection, and it's the Taekwondo, And then I said, "Oh, I have a school, Taekwondo school." And then, next month I'm gonna have Pinoy. They're gonna do Arnis seminar. So of course, I get excited and things. Even though I tell him I don't know Arnis, because we don't do that. We don't.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
We don't really, And I said we get exchange the number, and I go there and I see it. Oh wow, And of course, when you are in the, doing the Arnis and things like that, something is gonna come out. Something is gonna come out. And along the way, I said, "I thought you don't know Arnis." I said, "Oh, just a little bit."
just a little, just a little bit.
Just a little bit. But the end up, I'm leading the seminar and things.
Wow. So, so just again, so read upon you. So when you came to Orlando, you started training with Bo Sayok.
Yes.
And then how was that? That must have been
okay. That's why I got met Tatay Bo Sayok, because also with Kuya John Bain. He trained, he knows Tatay Bo and Kuya Mike Sayok, and I get introduced to them, and Kuya John Bain, he trained also with the late Professor Remy Presas. And I have honor to meet him also, when I'm teaching the class Arnis in the Orlando, that Professor Presas, I meet them, So to meet Tatay Bo Sayok, yes, I met them to Kuya John Bain. I get introduced in Kissimmee, it's only like 45 minutes away where I live, and Kuya Mike Sayok, is in the St. Cloud, and Tatay Bo is in Naples, Florida. And of course, always, you respect the elder, and of course, they have their own family system also, and I've become close, And every time they have a seminar, I go there, train with them, and just respect, and that's what I have a good relation with the Sayok family.
So interesting. So did you actually were you actually learning under him, or was it more so you guys just kind of training together, or?
Well, it's I'm not gonna say that I don't learn from them. Yes, I learn some of the stuff, and the matter of fact, I do a bull whip. Kuya Mike Sayok teach me a bullwhip.
Okay.
You know, that's the one. You know, I learned the bullwhip with Kuya Mike Sayok. Really, it's my art is the horsewhip. You
There's a
know,
horse whip.
and
Okay.
I show it to Kuya Mike. What's that, Raffy? I said, this horsewhip. What's this? He do it like, there's not whip. He throw it away, and he's the thing with the bullwhip. So that's the one. He teach me on that. Yes. So, but on those time, me and Kuya Mike Sayok, he have his family system, I have my family system. We just train together, and what's comes, and those early days, I start me and Kuya Mike Sayok the sama-sama, and we invite every master and grandmaster in the art, Filipino martial arts, and we get together in his house in Kissimmee, and we do those once a year, and we have a really good fun and met a lot of FMA, practitioner in there.
What year? I was there 2002, 2003 in Pennsylvania. What years did you go?
Okay, no, the original of that is me and Kuya Mike Sayok,
Okay.
in the 93, 94, and then
Early ones.
yes,
Okay.
and then they get put it in the Pennsylvania, New York, and things like that.
Right. So right. The first ones, the early ones were in Florida.
The earliest is always in Kissimmee, because really this is not my job. My job, I'm a chef, and I don't do this for live. I do this because I love the art, and people that I train with, I don't, so I'm busy at work, so we stop it for a little bit, and then the other they get take that sama-sama,
Yeah.
So
Pretty incredible. I mean, like the ones I went to, the folks that they would bring in and all that, it was pretty special. In there. So when did you? I guess it sounds like people were encouraging you to teach your family system. So was it in the 90s, or at what point did you say, "Hey, I'm going to start doing this"?
it's in the 90s, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And then Kuya Champion, he said to me, "Do you have a curriculum? What is curriculum?" I don't know.
What is curriculum?
I don't know what curriculum is. I said, well, this is nice to to teach somebody. Well, I just learned this, to my father, just for me. It's not intent to teach to somebody, just only for me. I don't know how to teach this. I will teach you what's my father teach me. So, and then he said, well, think we're gonna make a curriculum. So, do a pattern, different block, different footwork, and then he make me he make us the curriculum, and together with my my Guro right now, so it's evolving, but really we don't have no curriculum. What you see, what you get, that's it.
Yeah. Which it sounds like that was kind of the way back then and all that. And so then how did when you developed your curriculum and you started teaching it, were you pretty much just was it kind of around the Orlando area as far as your student base and what have you? Or
yes, most of my students, they are in the Orlando area, and then when they get the the sama-sama that they get known, they they have another system, family system they teach, so they get interest on it. But really, I don't I don't really advertise myself. I don't. I've been teaching since 1992, till now. I have only a handful of my my guys with me. I don't really put out there is no, yeah, and so when the curriculum made, because I do the solo baston, of course, espada daga, doble baston, mano-mano, stick grappling, flexible weapon, and daga. It's a lot of and dumog, the grappling,
Okay.
and but it's a lot. It's a lot, So we developed the Lolo Cinco Pero program, that they just do the stick work, the solo baston, doble baston, largo mano, and then the knife, and then the dumog is mordure,
Long distance.
long distance. So those are for long distance, instructor. They have a karate studio. They wanna it's Filipino martial arts, particularly Pambuan arnis, and we have those curriculum video that they can watch it, and then we can test them where they are, So.
Well, what's interesting, again, I find out more about this, doing the episodes. It's been, I tell you, it's been so incredibly educational for me. It sounds like yourselves from Laguna. Am I correct in that?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So I guess my question is, and just hearing about that, it seems like there's Laguna is pretty special and it's distinct. There's a distinct style to it, flavor to it. Is that correct?
Yes, Laguna is in the south, in Manila and things. A lot of not a lot of people they knows they have we have Arnisador also over there, in Laguna area, like Paite, where is Grandmaster Bonjo Beet from, we are next town each other, and then we have one in Lumban. They have a lot of good escrimador in Lumban. They have a lot of escrimador in the Magdalena, in San Pablo, on that area, in the Santa Cruz, not much in Santa Cruz, but it's in that mountain area in the Laguna area. Yes, but it's not really well known now. It's getting well known now because when you said Arnis, they always think in the Visayan area.
Yeah, right. And
yeah,
and I first became kind of aware of it that this Laguna style, I think, is when we had Paete system on, and I'm like, wow, Laguna, okay, this is interesting. And then of course, we became more aware. Is it known? Like, I guess what I'm asking, in addition, is it known for a particular trait, a range? Like, I guess if I was walking around in the Philippines, hey, that's Laguna. Like, is there known for anything in particular?
Yes, our the style in there is more the long range,
long range. Okay.
Yes, long range, and they have a particular move that they known for, and stuff. So, and you will distinguish. They have a lot of it's like the baiting here. You touch me, can attach you, things like that. But again, it's different. Different style. But if you're asking, it's you distinguish the style of Laguna. Yes, you can find those different moves. So.
Yeah, it's just interesting. I mean, and again, like you kind of mentioned, okay, Mindanao, Visayan, and of course the Luzon.
Yeah, that's a song.
I mean, those are kind of three areas that seem to get the most notoriety, so to speak.
Yeah.
And then I started hearing Laguna. I'm like,
yeah, I mean, telling the truth, I mean, that's the first time I hear the Kali when I get here in the America. I never hear the Kali when I was in the Philippines. I always know the Arnis and the Eskrima. That's it. Because again,
that's a whole subject matter there. Kali,
yeah,
that term, right?
And that's the truth, because I say, well, what's Kali? But that's in the in the Mindanao area, they call it Kali, and I always know Arnis and Eskrima, Estocada, maybe, So, but again, like my father get interviewed, with the Cecil, in the late 90s, to get
Mm.
interviewed also, and that's the same thing he knows, because he never said, "Do you know about Kali?" I said, "No, that's a part of Mindanao, things like that." But he's older, he should know more than that. He's not familiar
Yeah.
with that because again, he's not focused on that. I
Right.
say,
Okay.
the family art. That's it, done.
Yeah. Right. You didn't have like it wasn't
You're not, you're not,
into
you're not
a
gonna be
category like
okay, you're gonna
me.
the family art. They're gonna learn this and things like this, and then this is and no, it's not.
Yeah.
This is
Oh,
only like you work, you earn the money and go, do life, you know, and
mm,
but in somehow, I learned the our family art, for self defense, and that's good enough. I'm not intended to teach, you know, this, but if I was, intended to teach this when I was, teenager, of course I can train with, beside with my family. In the 70s, I mean, they have a lot of, uh, escrimador in Manila, when I work in there, I can just go there, but that's not in my priority, to learn the arnis and, visualize down the road in the future I want to teach. It's no.
mm,
My vision is just, to get the good job, and luckily, God's will that I get the job in the ship, and that's why, I'm here, and
right. Yeah.
the teaching artist is just accidentally, you know.
Yeah. Right. By virtue of you going to a sama and then stuff kind of
Yes,
just. Yeah.
yeah, and that's I create that, I say, what's sama sama? Well, let's get together, you know.
Yeah. Back in the good old days, huh?
Yes, that's the good days, and yeah,
Yeah.
and Chris Sayok is there, that Chris Sayok,
Mhm.
we bring, Jimmy Tacosa,
Jimmy Carter, yeah.
yeah,
Big names. Yeah.
yeah, a lot of people, I mean, we put,
Mm.
many more, escrimador, so that's my things, to get everybody in different styles. It doesn't matter what style, have a brotherhood, open up,
Mm.
and with, of course, with the guidance of let Tatay Bo Sayok, and
Sounds like you guys did it. I mean, because that kind of segue up into when they started doing it in Pennsylvania, and that's when they really started to grow, like
yes,
early 2000s. I mean,
yeah,
and
but
so I remember I went there, with the Atienzas, and it's
yes,
pretty,
against,
it's pretty
yeah,
exciting. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yes, sir.
How that I got Mike sending me a message here, so I gotta see what he's. I gotta see what Cody's sending me. Yes, absolutely, Mike, and actually it'll be pretty soon. So I guess as far as when you're teaching this and all that, so it sounds like your progression was solo Boston first, and then did you kind of work your way up to edge weapons and then flexible? Is that kind of how it
Yes,
goes? Or?
yes.
Okay.
I stayed first in the solo bus down, and then my father teach me, this Father Gaga. So
Mm.
when they start teaching the arnis, when they go back after almost 20 years, now I don't know that American they love this arnis.
Mhm.
Wow, and then and when I go home now. I called my father. I said, "Tay, do you know anybody arnisador? In the province?" I said, "Yeah, I still know, but they are old now. So keep
Yeah.
interview them, keep a contact with them. So when I come home for the first time, I interviewed them. We went there. They introduced to me. They have his second cousin. And he knows our niece. I get introduced. And the other old folks. So, and that's, the start of my journey, not only my family system, but other system also, just interview them, see, what style they have, what kind of, unique, movement, because in every, organizador, they have a unique, uh, move,
Mm.
Then they have another guy that my brother-in-law, very old, the name is Berio Talabis. He's a short guy, of course, but his thing is a left-handed. He's a trust, very good in trusting style, trusting. So I approach him. I mano his hand like this. Tatay, namat po, I hear that you do arnis. My name is Raffy Pambuan, and I do documentary with arnis, and all the old people, and I wanna learn, see what you have. And you know what he said? Well, well, if I teach you, now you're gonna have two. Now I gonna have one.
That's
Right.
that's a predicament, huh?
Right. Yeah. So the old man said to me, if I teach you my art, you know arnis already. So now you know two, your art, what your knowledge, and the knowledge I give you. Now I have only one.
So we have to balance that out.
Right. So I have to teach you that. And from that on, I never, I still respectful. I never, so meaning, he's not gonna teach me. I know already. So I never ask again to teach, to ask for teaching. But anyway, every time I go home, every 2 years, I go there, I pay respect, I give them things, and stuff. And one day, he said to me, "Go get your stick. I teach you." So I learned his style, all the trusting method. You see? So, and always my father said, if my father said, don't open your umbrella when it's not raining.
That's it.
So meaning,
like
you
that.
don't tell your, our niece, this, that. You think they're gonna fight you in front of you? No, they front you when you are in the dark alley, because you open your umbrella, you open your mouth
When it wasn't raining, right?
It's raining, right? So
I like that.
that's things my father is,
Yeah.
So so eventually I bring my father here, and when I come here and everybody bow on him, and he said, why he's bowing on me? So you are the, you are the the head of the family art. And they said, he don't know what to do. And so, man, I just know this artist and these people is bowing on me and want to learn my, the art. He's very, very surprised, and things. So,
Nice.
but he's in the 80s, on that, come here. And of course, it is, some of my guros, they met them, luckily, and they teach the Spadadaga, all the songket and stuff, so yeah.
Wow. So I mean, yes, obviously, I mean, you're definitely low key. I mean, if you've been teaching since early 90s and all that, you definitely remain to kind of stay on the lower end. Some would look at that as a good thing in the FMA world, and I'll leave that at that. But so, I mean, do you have how does it go as far as your, I guess, ranking structure? Like,
Our ranking structure, really, I don't have no ranking structure. The way I do it is because it's the family system, so I do it like a family, level, so it's like my father, my father teach me, he's a lolo, we call him Lolo Guro,
Okay.
And then I'm a guro, it's me, I'm the son, I have a kids now, so I'm a guro. And then I have, my a student, I have a tagapagsanay, I have tagapagturo, select guro, and then I have bunso guro, and then I have guro, kuya guro. That's it. And then you're gonna have, after the kuya guro, you're gonna have guro isa, guro dalawa, guro tatlo, guro apat. you know. But the Lolo Guro, nobody can have Lolo Guro title, even me. I cannot, be Lolo Guro. I cannot replace my dad.
You can't replace your dad, right?
But somebody in my older instructor, senior instructor, can be a Maguro one day. But we reserve that to Lolo Guro.
Oh,
And
neat. Okay.
we don't have a testing every month. No, we don't do that. We just practice, and one day we just gonna tell them, okay, you're gonna, I'm
You just
gonna
all right.
test you for this. I said, and they're surprised. No, you always test already. You know what you're doing. So, but that's it. But there's no set testing. Okay, every 2 months you're gonna test. You got this and that. No, it's not. Guro, how many years you been with me?
27 now.
27.
Wow.
And you?
It's a long time.
12 years.
Yeah. And
Okay.
Kuyaguro, I'm 60 years old now, still training, still learning.
Yeah, it's, like that, So, but again, I can tell you, a handful of my, about my hands, my guros and my things. I'm not big. I don't mean to do that, And
Yeah, I kind of like the smaller. I gotta be honest with you.
yes, and but my student, my gurus, they are very, very, very loyal to me.
Yeah.
They say who I am. I'm not good. I'm not good. I just, know what my father teach me, and give it to them. We learn together. I learn from them. They can only make me better because of them. Can only be the blade can only be sharpened with a stone. So yeah, you can have a good blade, but it's dull. Sitting in there, and you have knowledge sitting in there. Of course, it's gonna be. It's not in use. It's not gonna be, effective, but it's not very, very effective because you don't, practice it. So, by practicing with my guru, and a few students, it make me, active, So because everybody are different. So my father teach me, the art. So I develop it in a different way of moving, So I adapt, with every, situation. And my father said to me, one time he do the move. Tai, can you repeat that for me? I said, which move? The one you just do. Which one? He don't know. I said, well, I don't know. But, I don't know what to do. I cannot repeat that. Why you cannot repeat it? Well, you hit me there, you hit me there. I just gonna reaction. So why you have to think about it? So he said to me, I said, well, when you do it, don't think about it, just react on that.
Yeah.
You don't have time to think, and that moment, So
yes, especially when those small sharp things are coming at you.
Exactly. Yes. And again, it's a bladed. It's a blade. It's a bladed weapon. And they have a story in the 40s, I think. My father. Because my father also learned not only for his family system, he learned also with the guys from Batangas. That's the one he's telling me. Because my father is a baker. He's a teenager, and the guy from Batangas, he know Arnis, and they checking my father, attitude. My father is very respectful and things like that. And then he wanna, train. I said, Sidro. My father named Sidro. Sidro, you wanna learn Arnis? And that my father, know Arnis, but again, he don't tell it, to him. And I said, yeah, So he learned a different style of Arnis, from that old man. His name is Alejandro, from Batangas,
Batangas. Okay.
And then, yeah. and that he learned, But anyway, so he learned his family art, of course, and then he learned outside the family. And also, my father tell me he have brother-in-law, cousin brother-in-law from Bisaya,
Mm.
And then when he like to learn, and they said, no, Sidro, just couple move. Oh, is the my back is hurt. They stop. So they also learn some Visayan style, but again, that's a story. So and when I was a kid, you just listen on that.
Okay.
So, but anyway, my father said, he's a co-worker, and then he said to my father, "Oh, Sidro, that I know you. I hear that you training artists with with somebody. Can you? My father do artists also. Can you spar with him?" I said, "No, you don't do that, But anyway, every time he always said that to my father. And then one time, my father going home, according to him, and they are drinking and things like that, and then they said, "Hey, Sidro, he's my father, oh, he like to play artist with you, and he give them the stick." My father said, he put it in the spot, So I said, "Oh, what are you gonna do?" I mean, a lot of people in there, you can chow, that, so, and finally they do, they spar, they fight, But the old man is left-handed, so when they thought my father said when he hit here, when he go like this, he hit like this. It's not force thing, it's just move it like that, and then he hit him. He did hit here, like that. Oh, and my father said, "Oh man, that's hurt," And then he do it again. Oh, he make it real. It's not friendly sparring. My tatay said, "Oh, that's different now." So now he used what he knows,
Okay.
because it's not friendly sparring anymore. He get it hurt. He just don't give him a strike and not really counter it, and he get a lot of strike, But my father say, "Oh no, this is a different now." So when strike it here is a left-handed, and then he counter it, he carried here, and then the old man, he have a big cut here, and the blood is pouring in this thing. So my father is feel bad. You see, why to have to be like this? You're telling me all the time, play with your father. Look at him. You have a big gulps in here, and his stick is already down. I get goosebumps when they're telling me that. But anyway, so when my father tell me that, and then I said, when I doing all documentation with my father and my other master and the grandmaster, said, "Ty, where is the place?" So I demonstrated. I'm the old man, I'm the left-handed, and my father, he demonstrate the move. And then we take a picture, because that's a memorable,
Memorable, yeah, right.
Yes.
Memory.
Memorable, event, and things. So I have a picture of those, things, and how my father do the move. But my father said, "Man, for weeks his hand is hurt."
Oh, his whole side, yeah.
Yeah. But what is the lesson in there? The lesson is, I mean, you get draw to the fight, with can chow, things like that, and see what happened, right? So, but my father, he never used his art to nobody when he died. I think for me, it's not, I think if you die, you pass away, you give your knowledge to somebody, and not using it to somebody, I think that's the good one. You know, I think for me, I mean, yes, we practice and things like that. It's not to hurt somebody, you know, it's to know what is outcome. Now not to get in the fight because it's like me, I mean, I train knife and things like that. I don't carry knife, even though I'm a chef, as a profession.
Okay.
But I don't carry a knife, because again, you train knife all the time. When I press that, it's just natural come to you. It's
you're pulling it out, and
it's a reflex, So
right, jeez. Well, if you guys are ready, and I'm ready, if you guys are still up for it for demos. So whatever you guys want to show, the audience generally loves demos. So whatever you want to show as far as your system, I'm sure everybody will love it.
Yeah, all right.
Hey, Guro, I'm just going to flip the camera so we can do a moment setup.
Hey, and also, Guro Mike.
Yes.
Plus, they'll get a bigger screen here because I will just do this.
That's fantastic. I'm going to flip the camera real quick.
Okay.
So, gentlemen, if you guys could be in that side. And I'm going to if I could ask the host to also join you guys. All right. I think we're good. We'll just bring Mr. Brian in a moment. So,
okay, let's do that.
There you go.
Okay. So let me show you the first technique that my father teach me. That I said I wanna, for self-defense, right? So when they strike here, I just gonna make it. You guys
right
see
there.
that?
Okay,
Yep. There, right?
Yep, that's good.
So when they get here. So again, here, get here.
Sir, if you could shut the door, that'd be great.
So that's the first technique my father teach me, And what happened is, it's here. It's a sungkit here. He sungkit the eyes here, okay? And he hit here. But actually, it's a hands. Okay? So, but again, if they said that the tulisan, the caballero is here. Pick up your stick. He lived, right? But he said, tulisan, I strike in there, I hit here, the hands here, and drop the head. Done. So, but I want more. Well, it's not anymore. Because anywhere he attack is there, here, like that. He's always in here, And also, is that sungkit here, he attack here, he sungkit here, attack here, he sungkit there, hit this, here. So he's always doing this move, doing that. Right? So so that's some of my father first move that he teach me. Right? Have another right. Come back here. You hit there.
Other way around, sir. There you go.
But that's a bolo. Bolo here. Come back here. Attack. Pass it there.
Classical.
Here. There. All right. And then if we have another oh no, that's not right. So if I attack here, it's always here. See? See? Look. Attack here, see? It's always carried here. Carry there, carry there, carry there, carry there. Here, 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 here. You know, so it's always side to side. You know, side to side here. You go side to side here. Go side to side here. Side to side, side to side. And that particular movement, we never do from that and that, right? But when you gonna said, you know, the Laguna, you know, style, we have that his style. How about yeah, like that. Yeah.
Can you I'm a guru. Can you explain that? Just that movement.
Which one?
The one that you just did there.
The Laguna.
Oh. Because this my bait here, right? When he gonna attack me here. See here, right? So we get here, I hit here. Yeah, we hit here, I hit here. Where you gonna hit? I hit this, right? So and if we strike here, that's it. I get here, right? I touch him, right? So now if I'm here, what's exposed here? So when I hit here, I hit there. See, wala. Right? So now I'm here, expose the head, right? I have there, I hit there again. And now I expose here, I hit there. Things like that, okay? It's just gonna, we call it, you know, engaño, you know, a baiting.
Okay.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like the Ganyo attack by drawing, I guess some would,
Exactly.
some may, I guess, would say, yeah, look, interesting. I never seen anything like that. That's fascinating.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, yeah. So, ganyo, you and me. So, yeah. See, here,
Which one?
here, go, tap. See?
Yeah, definitely.
You know, we do those, you know, the engaño,
Ebb and flow.
you know, the flowing. See? So,
Yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah, I've just never, yeah, I've never seen movement like that. So that was really neat.
because if I make this, see, I hit there, hit like this, hit like this, like this. Yeah.
Yeah, that was neat. Yeah. Where else you want to Google? Where else you want to go?
And then this one here, I developed this for our law enforcement. They call this a call.
Like, hold it sideways because over your shirt, you know. Hold it,
Like that.
Okay.
See? Yeah. All right.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So I developed this. This is for you know, our law enforcement. But if I do it here, see, I hold this already.
Oh, you can hook and maneuver. Ah, okay.
Right?
Let me see that for a second. Just so I'm gonna bring it closer to the camera so you
Sure.
guys can see that.
Yeah.
So it's the design portion.
And it's heavy. I'm assuming it's heavy plastic.
Right now it's a polymer baser.
Plastic. And then I have the real edge on this. And then I have the aluminum, but here is too much already. When you get the aluminum one, forget it. Of
Yeah,
course,
but the plastic one,
the blade
you could
one
take
is
on a plane.
yeah.
Right?
So, but anyways, it's just to hook anything here. So when you get here, it's a hook. See,
Got
hook
it.
in there. You get here, and then you have another hook here. See, then you have a hook again here. No? But if we go in here, get here, see, there's another hook here, you know, here. So if you look at it, the hole here, that's for the thumb.
Okay.
See?
Oh, clever.
All right. So, and then you can bring them right away. See? Bring them right away. See? Right away.
Yeah. Wow. Did you come up with that yourself, sir?
Yes, sir.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Clever.
And this one here is how do you call that? Brass knuckle? Impact. The impact. You know?
Okay.
So I developed this for our law enforcement. If they drop this and you drop the knife, you drop this and you drop the knife, which one they gonna pick up? Of course, the knife.
Of course.
Not this. Right? So again, it's really good for maneuvering the people, right?
And I'm a Guro, you do have a full curriculum for that, correct?
Yes, I have full curriculum on this too, as well. Okay, so
Really neat.
that's it. It's just hooking, and then I have this cupboard, this here.
Oh, they can actually carry it. So is your program that Guru Mike just mentioned, is it more tailored specific to law enforcement or civilian as well?
Law enforcement and special forces.
Okay.
Yeah. And then and then I have some instructor, that they train some local police and stuff, So yeah. But I have the red one, because this is the real things for our law enforcement, little big one, and then I have a red one for trainer, So, but they can do a lot of stuff here, So, for example, they are in the a lot of times, they stop at our law enforcement and then they try to eject it in the car. It's hard to do like this here, but this one here, look. See?
Jeez. Yeah. A little pain distraction.
Yeah. So you just prime it there. You prime it there. You prime it there. You prime it there.
Yeah, prime it.
It's a leverage like tools,
Yeah.
It's not trying to hang on, So, but yeah,
And I'm a Guro, you're using this also as a almost a come along technique.
Yes.
So for leverage.
Yeah. So it's a come along technique here, right? So if it
Compliance.
here, it's here. That's a come along technique. Technique, but all the time, you can leave it here. If I wanna bring down the person, bring that, and hook it up. You see, if the guy is like this, you don't wanna give the hand. It's okay. It's okay. See?
Yeah.
It's okay. See how fast it does. So now I can use this.
Oh, you handcuff. Okay.
Then I do the handcuff.
How clever. Yeah. I mean, that's innovative.
All right.
So it's definitely a nice tool for compliance.
Yes.
I would say, I mean, just the levers that you can get from that and the pain distraction and
yes. Yeah.
And what do you call that, sir?
PAL.
PAL. And
they call Pambuan assisted lock or police assisted lock.
The Pambuan assisted lock. Okay.
But again, whatever my base, my family system, of course they will evolve. They always next one, So it's like what is work, but you have always a a good base on it.
Mm.
Things like that.
Yeah, that's all. Wow.
Right. And then, yeah, I mean, espada daga that
Sure, I
we
love
have
that.
here, but that we have only one espada daga here, you know. But again, we are here, like this here, right? So this one here, my father said always do it, point this in the middle of his thing, not like this, you know, because he see it when it's what the blade long is. But if you are here, like this here, you don't know how long is the blade is. See? So here, see, you don't know the depth, you know, things like that. So when you attack here, see, attack there, see, attack there, there, see, like that. See, when you attack here, see, yeah. So when you attack here, see, look, you know, you attack the other side, look.
I know.
Yes.
Get over here so you can see.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So like that, you know.
And Gurdeen, they do have an event here, so I want to be courteous of the time.
Oh yeah. So yeah, what do you guys got?
So before I go ahead, and I want to, sir, go ahead. Yeah, introduce yourself, sir.
Yeah. This is my host for my seminar, since Brian Ratliff from the Tennessee, and you know, bring me here, and you know, so it's a very good. Yeah, thank you, sir, for inviting me.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. We've been with Amagoro, or I have personally. We kidded about it today, on record for 15 years. It's actually been a little bit longer than that I've been training with Amagoro. And we were just very, very, very pleased. We had a great turnout today. We had a good group. And we just want people to know that we're here in Tennessee, Chattanooga, Tennessee. So we're close by. We are Warriors of Change Defensive Arts. This is our banner back here in the back. Our website address is warriorsofchange.us. And we are the only ones in this area that Amagoro has given us the right to be able to teach his family art. So we're very proud of that.
Oh,
and
fantastic.
glad that we can be here and support Amagoro in every aspect of what he does.
Well, good for you guys. That's fantastic. And a little funny note, Guru, Glenn, I'm here for the whips and chains.
so there's a quick request for some whips. Is that what you're asking for?
Glenn's a funny guy, and so he's.
Do we have time for a quick whip demo?
Whips and chains.
We might have a challenge on our height here.
No, we're yeah. I just thought it was amusing.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm pretty sure Amaguro could actually cater that whip demo. But currently, the room where we're at has a low ceiling. So,
I think Glenn, he'll be okay.
All right, fantastic. And
we'll have to just go rent an R-rated movie or something.
Oh, great. And Amaguro, a quick plug for your upcoming events.
Yes.
So upcoming events for you guys, if you guys have
Yeah, we're gonna have a big event, you know, in March. We call it Pamana ni Lolo. You know, Pamana is
it's like an inheritance.
Inheritance, you know, inheritance, you know,
Legacy.
You know, legacy of my father. That this is gonna be our 14 years. You know, when the pandemic hit, we stopped almost 2 years. You know, so we're gonna do it again. So
hopefully
you guys are
all
all welcome. It's gonna be in Orlando area. You know, we have fun. We have exchange of knowledge to one another and just have fun. You know, it's March 18 and 19 in Orlando, Florida. We're gonna post it in the website. You know, everybody's welcome, and yes, you know, and I'm gonna have a different master also as well. You know. Okay.
Yeah. Tell when you get it going, I'm more than happy. You know, please feel free to post in the group. You can have Guru, Mike, and all that. But yeah. You know.
Yeah, and also the other things that I'm interested on is not only my family art that I teach. I have a big collection of Filipino weapons. You know, You know, the Chris, Campilan, Pira, Budjak, you know, Lantaka, you know, Tinagre, you know, Manasbat, you know, Salakot, all that stuff, you know.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, you know, because it's fascinated me on that, you know, our culture, you know, because, you know, I know you've been in the Philippines and you trained, you know, Filipino art as well. Is they have a lot of unique, you know, weapon in the part of the country that we've been known, you know, because in every barrio and every island, they have particular weapon on it. And I start collecting that, you know, for almost 35 years, you know.
Okay.
So I, you know, teach my student also, you know, my gurus about that. It's not only the art, it's about our heritage. And then now they starting collecting. Now no more collection for me because they have it.
And guys, in light of the time here, and thank you, Guros, for Amaguro and the Guros of Pambuan Arnis for joining FMA discussion. Is there one more demo that you guys want to do? Are we good?
Yeah.
What are you asking for?
So, okay, one last request. You guys have any requests for Amaguro for one short demo?
Whatever he wants to do, I just appreciate whatever he wants to show. So I'm open.
Well,
Yes.
I will lower myself.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Last demo.
okay.
Last demo.
Other side.
I make it slowly, right? We come back here, come back here, come back here. I disarm here, right? And then I put it here. I pull this down and bring it up to roll it. That throw. Yeah. Right?
Nice.
So again, 1, 2, 3, come back here. Bring that there. Got this, bring that. That's up there. Right.
All right.
Back here. Come back here. Come back here. Come back here.
Can we say that last part again? No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, that's my request.
You told me.
No. Thank you, Sir Dean. That was my recommendation too. Go for it.
I can get away with that. See how far away.
Here, here. And I do it here. I disarm it. Here. I check it here. Bring it here. Right? Here.
Oh, I hate those
Yeah.
rocks.
And down. There. So this one here, we call it planting rice. Like this.
Planting rice. Okay.
Planting rice. So when you're planting rice, like this. Like this.
Ah, all right.
So the bring down is here. Just bring that. Go down. It's here. So here. So basically you are here. See? This black in here. So planting rice. See?
Ah, I see. Okay.
Right?
Interesting.
So yeah, you know, of course they have we have this one here. Come back here. Here. You hold my hands here. Hold this. I go here. I break this one here. I break it down here.
Oh. Kind of like you're going on the armpit. That was okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's here. I grab here. Right? Come back here. All right? I hold it. And then I put the hands side of his body here. I go here underneath and break the brake, then bring it here. You know, it's like a come alone, but in this
Okay.
Yeah. And also the things that we do is how you identify how to hold it. So for example, when you hold it, the hands, we call peeling the banana. You hold the thumb and you're peeling the thumb. And that's when you grab the banana, no?
Yeah.
Then the other one is cup and saucer. This is the cup. That's the saucer. And then, so here, you hold it not in the wrist, in the palm, right there, right? And that's what you take it out, right? And also, we never give when we practice, we never give like this. When we disarm it, we will pick it up because that's the habit. If you are trained doing that, that's what you're gonna do.
Yeah, you can do this great move and then you give it back to the guy, huh?
Correct, correct. And then the other one is shaking the hands like that.
Okay.
You know. Okay. So it's really, so if we have the stick here, you know, you come here, that's already peeling the banana. See? Right? You come back here, this already lock. See? And then I bring it here, that's another lock. See? Lock here. You know, right? And then the other, when I do it, the things is shaking the hands, see? But I get it here, I hit that, and then bring it here. Not in the wrist, is here and here. Okay. See? You come back here, you come back here, the same thing again. I lock. See? Yeah. All right, and then the cup and saucer like this too. See, like that. Here, here, here. And then we have of course, we have you know, we have all locking. You know, locking here, here, come back here. You know, lock here, in here, or come back here. This arm here, this strike here, and then we push it like this here. You know. Okay. So this we call, I know you've been in the Philippines, so you know about barangay tanod. You know the barangay tanod?
No.
Barangay tanod is the step level in the police that they make the guard of the village. So, but anyway, they have a stick. Remember, they carry a stick, but they don't carry a stick like this. They carry a stick like this, so you don't.
Like that. Okay.
You don't really see it. But when they strike, that's it. You see? You know, they go here and they hit there. See? They hit there, and then they prime it like this. All right. So, but anyway, yeah. So that's little bit that you know, that I know. You know, that my father teach me, and of course, you know, honing it, and just share it. You know, the knowledge to my choices. You know, student and gurus and everybody else. You know. I'm not,
that was fantastic. Again, I thank you so much for coming on. You know, I appreciate it. You know?
So, I just want to thank you, of course, Guro Mike. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, thank you very much, Guro Mike, for helping coordinate with this.
And Ate
Kati, you know, she's been with us for this time, and I'm really shy, you know, and things, you know. So I said, don't worry, just gotta be yourself. But anyway, I just want to thank my Kuya Guro Sean Belly and Guro Chris Guadalupe. And thank you for you know, great honor opportunity to be a part of your.
Happy to do. I'm glad we made it happen. So well,
thank you, Sir Dean. Appreciate it. Thank you for making this happen for us.
Right.
Thank you for the discussion.
Yeah, but you guys, thank you again. You guys take care, and I'm glad your event went well today. So
yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Thank you.
Sir.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, you guys take care. Thank you.
Salamat.
Bye.
All right.
Ooh.
That's okay. Just skip it over my bald head.
All right, that wraps up episode. I lost my count. 354. Who is next? Next week, who is next? I think Dog Brother Renee. We're going to be going over some stuff there. Seems like an interesting guy. So we're having him on, and a couple other folks. I just got to look at my list. But yeah, but it'll be posted in FMA discussion, so you guys will see it there. A week from tomorrow, Christmas raffle. Check out those prizes again. just some of the things that were donated. Guru Mark Denny, Old Dog Brothers DVD set. What else? There was a sword stand. Ray Floro donated some downloads from his website. And a few other things. But again, all under the pin post in the comment section, all the prices are listed there. So you guys can, check them out there and everything. So, but yeah, check that out. Again, $10 a ticket. It's all going to children. All right. All right, folks. Thank you. And I will see you next time.